Now going over to question number 9, we always start with the prompt. Here, the prompt is asking us, what would text 2 say about text 1's characterization of the discovery involving EGR? So to handle this, first we can go to text 1 because we need to know what is that characterization that's being mentioned, and then we can go to text 2 to find out what would text 2 say about that characterization. So going to text 1 now, most animals can regenerate some parts of their bodies, such as skin, but when a three-banded panther worm is cut into 3 pieces, each piece grows into a new worm. Researchers are investigating this feat partly to learn about humans' comparatively limited abilities to regenerate, and they're making exciting progress. An especially promising discovery is that both humans and panther worms have a gene for early growth response linked to regeneration. So there's this possibility that because the panther worm can regenerate itself, that scientists can figure out how to have humans take advantage of the same ability. But the question is asking us how this is being characterized. In other words, is it telling us this is a good thing or a bad thing, an exciting thing or an unrealistic thing? So here it's being called especially promising. So the author of text 1 definitely believes that this is a good thing that we really can possibly do very soon. Now, what does text 2 have to say about that? When these researchers reported that panther worms possess a gene for EGR, it caused excitement. However, so there's a contrast there. As the team pointed out, the gene likely functions very differently in humans than it does in panther worms. The researcher has likened EGR to a switch that activates other genes involved in regeneration in panther worms, but how this switch operates in humans remains unclear. So we see the big, giant contrast, which is telling us something's going to change. In the beginning, there was the excitement, but now the change. The gene actually functions differently in humans, so that's some pessimism. And even though they said it's like a switch, how this switch actually operates is unclear. So it's a little more pessimistic. It's kind of telling us that this is not a done deal yet. And text 2 is definitely working in the opposite direction from text 1. So let's start looking at the answer choices. Answer choice A says that text 2 says text 1 is reasonable, given that they identified how it functions. Well, it wasn't describing it as reasonable, it was advising caution. Answer choice B says that text 1 is overly optimistic, given that there are some additional observations. That sounds pretty good. C, that text 1 is unexpected, given that their findings were met with enthusiasm. Well, we don't see any expression that anyone else met the findings with enthusiasm, only the author of text 1. So that doesn't fit. And D, it's unfairly dismissive, given the progress that they have reported. So does text 2 say that text 1 is unfairly dismissive? It's kind of describing things out of order because text 2 was the one that was a little more dismissive of text 1. So text 2 wouldn't describe text 1 as dismissive. So the answer here is